times, and with a pandemic and economic collapse and all the things that are going on in our country today and in Tennessee, certainly that can have some impact in significant ways in mental health, anxiety and depression and fear and isolation. All of those are elevated for a lot of folks in the midst of the uncertainty that we are in the midst of the challenges that we have with us. And mental health issues, while they permeate every segment of our society, they've often got a stigma attached to them. The conversations around mental health, those conversations are often in secret or certainly shrouded with that stigma. That's been going on for far too long. And quite frankly, it's cost us lives, particularly when we consider the issue of suicide. And Clark Flat certainly knows all too well about lives lost as a result of suicide, and particularly teen suicide. And he'll talk a little bit about that I'm sure, as he lays out the vision for Jason Foundation. What most people don't know is that Clark and I met some 18 years ago when my own teenage daughter attempted violent suicide, and I was a desperate dad reaching out to find resources and answers. And through the shroud of secrecy, it was difficult to find, but I found Clark and the resources that he could point me to at a time that I needed that, and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of lack of understanding on my part. So I have a personal appreciation for the work of the Jason Foundation, a Tennessee-based nonprofit that's had national reach and has certainly likely saved thousands of children's lives as a result of the efforts of the Jason Foundation to speak out and to have conversations out loud about issues that face families like mine in times of crisis, and like so many tens of thousands of families across this country. So I'm really proud that the state of Tennessee will partner with the Jason Foundation in their new campaign, Tennessee Won't Be Silent, because we all need to be a part of speaking out and getting information out so that families understand how important it is to reach out to their own family members and to have dialogue and conversation with their children. And in times of crisis, to detach the stigma associated with mental illness and mental health, and make it a much more important and robust conversation. So we're proud to be. I'm proud to be on the call. I'm proud to be partnered with the one in our state government here that is most passionate about these issues is our Commissioner Marie Williams, Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And I would like to ask Commissioner Williams to come on the line and say a few words. Marie?
Yes, sir. Governor, good morning, and a great thanks to you for your leadership and your support for this incredibly important initiative that is being spearheaded by the Jason Foundation founder, Clark Flat. Clark, as you know, my respect and admiration for you and what you had done goes back almost 20 years. It's a friendship and foundation that was established around one core value, and that value is life is precious, life is powerful, and life is purposeful. And yet each day in our state, we know the stats that Governor Lee just addressed, that far too many people are taking their life. We know that on average, we've lost 3 of our Tennessee neighbors per day to suicide. We know that our youth population, ages 10 to 24, are choosing suicide, and that's the second leading cause of death. We know in last year's report that 16.5% of Tennessee high school youth reported that they had seriously considered suicide. And we know that in order to address this, we have got to join together in this initiative, Clark, that you are spearheading. I'm so grateful to the partners in our state, partners from the Department of Health, Department of Education, Commissioner Schwinn, and TennCare, as well as our partners in the community who are involved, as you know, Clark, with you, to provide services, treatment, and recovery that will help persons that may be on that fence about whether they want to live or whether they want to die. I also want to say that I am grateful to our governor and the General Assembly because in the first year that he was in office, he made significant investments in suicide prevention that will be leveraged with this initiative. We have statewide suicide prevention specialists through that funding. And then this year, in this incredibly tough budget situation, the governor and the legislature have allocated money to expand services for school-aged youth so that every county will have a school-based behavioral health liaison, as well as service delivery through the school-based behavioral health safety net. And Clark, we know that these services, as they move forward and as they partner with what you are doing in this great initiative, that we will have fewer and fewer people that view their lives as not purposeful and as not powerful and as not precious. We also know that our experience with widespread disasters tell us that the mental health impacts that the governor was talking about really start to hit 5 to 6 months after that disaster. And we are heading into that time. So Clark, this could not be a better time to do what you're doing, as well as this message that's perfect for our neighbors who are hurting. We know this is truly going to make a difference and that awareness is the first step to prevention. And with that, Mr. Flatt, I will turn it over to you.
After Governor Lee's talk, I'm not sure if I need to say too much. That was great. And Governor Lee, thank you. Thank you for your passion in addressing suicide in Tennessee. I believe it's, I'm on the spot to do my speech now. Right. Thank you. We just changed a little bit. Okay. Again, thank Governor Lee and thank you for your passion in addressing suicide prevention in Tennessee and your friendship, not only to the Jason Foundation, but the friendship you've given to me over all these years. Suicide, it's not even a word we like to say, let alone talk about it. Yet suicide impacts individuals and families across our nation and our great state of Tennessee every day. In Tennessee, as it's been mentioned, suicide is the 9th overall leading cause of death for Tennesseans for ages 10 to 40. Basically, an age group we don't look at very often. That's from our preteens all the way to our middle-aged group. Suicide is now the 2nd leading cause of death in Tennessee for our 10 to 40-year-olds. As Marie mentioned, we're losing an average of 3 Tennesseans each and every day to suicide. That's an average of 1 every 8 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When we're looking specifically at Tennessee youth and young adults, suicide is now the 3rd leading cause of death for ages 12 to 18, basically our middle and high school groups. When we look at our college age youth of 18 to 21, we find that it still remains the 3rd leading cause of death for Tennessee youth. There's a CDC youth risk behavioral survey that many on this call are probably aware of, but they have 2 particular questions that really point out what we're doing here today. One question was, have you attempted suicide in the past? Have you seriously considered suicide in the past 12 months? This is for grades 9 through 12 in Tennessee. 1 out of every 6 students responded they had seriously considered suicide. The second question was, have you attempted suicide in the past 12 months? In Tennessee, alarmingly, 1 out of every 12 students responded that they had attempted suicide in the past 12 months. One of the most deadly aspects of suicide, I believe, is our lack of awareness of it as a danger to our families and communities and the lack of knowledge of where the resources are available to help someone who may be struggling with thoughts of suicide. Hashtag Tennessee Won't Be Silent that we're officially launching today will be a collaborative effort. It has to be. It'll be a collaborative effort from nonprofit state agencies, businesses across our great state, with a dual goal and a dual mission for this year-long process. Our first part will be to raise awareness by raising the level of productive communication about suicide. We'll do this by sharing solid information and data as we learn more about the subject of suicide and dismiss some of the myths and misinformation that is out there. I'm hoping that we'll become more comfortable with discussing the subject, and from those discussions, we will raise our awareness and prevention efforts. In raising awareness, hashtag Tennessee Won't Be Silent will be utilizing technology and social media to promote this conversation, encouraging schools, PTOs, PTAs, churches, even communities as a whole to get involved in the conversation, each in their own way, each in their own aspect. We're planning a series of webinars that a lot of our partners, we're going to be including them in on, that will address suicide in specific populations, specific issues, and we'll be talking about what we can do to prevent suicide. And this will take us to our second and corresponding goal, and one that I believe is very important, as 2 or 3 people have brought up here today. Our second goal is broadening the safety net. What do I mean by the safety net? That's those people who have been trained to be able to recognize and assist someone that may be struggling with thoughts of suicide, not making them counselors, but able to identify and refer. 4 out of 5 young people who will attempt suicide will demonstrate clear warning signs before the attempt. That means that in 80% of the time, if we know what to look for and we know how to appropriately respond, we have an opportunity of stopping a suicide. We have in the past almost totally depended upon our schools when we're talking about our youth to identify and assist individuals who may be struggling with mental health or emotional issues. And like Governor Lee said, they have done a tremendous job, especially with the resources they've had over the year. However, COVID-19 has revealed the danger of just relying upon a single source for such identifications. Numbers of youth identified as someone who may need help have plummeted, not because the situation has gone away, not because the needs have gone away. It's just simply the numbers are down due to the safety net. The safety net not being there because schools have been closed since March. And everyone in our field that we've been talking to are expecting a surge, as we've said, as Marie said in her talks, and as Governor Lee said, we're expecting that surge. In fact, we're seeing some of that surge as we're speaking now, with crisis calls doubling and tripling, going up in one instance over 800% in a period of time. The surge is coming. We need to broaden the safety net by providing training to others in our community. Again, not to make them counselors, but to have them better able to identify and know how to assist someone who may be struggling with thoughts of suicide. These groups will be our clergy, our first responders, our youth workers, our parents, and even just others in our community who work and deal with young people and across the age groups of young people. To kick off this goal today and to make something special as far as beyond just announcing Tennessee Won't Be Silent, what JFI or the Jason Foundation will be doing. We're launching two different activities today. Our first is our first responders module. We've been working on this for a year, but it's really apropos to be coming out now. Our first responders module is one that will help the first responders, the fire, the EMT, the police departments, and how they can become involved in Tennessee Won't Be Silent, how they can reach out to the communities they serve and provide this valuable information on how to identify and how to refer people who might be struggling with thoughts of suicide. But there's another important part of this first responders module. It's also then turns to how they can help their peers. How they can work. There's always been a higher than average suicide ideation within first responders. With the COVID-19 and the stress on their emotions and mental health, it's taken its toll. So within this first responders module is a way that they can not only help the community, but help themselves. And we're proud to say, because of our partners, this will be available to any Tennessee fire department, police department, EMT service at no charge to any state agency that requests it. We're also launching today our Project Tennessee 2. It's a collaborative effort in establishing a network of 10 affiliate offices working together under the mission, the dual mission of hashtag Tennessee Won't Be Silent. So we're really putting it down to local folks helping local folks, and that's going to be the key. But for hashtag Tennessee to be successful, it must be a collaborative effort. The challenge of suicide prevention is too enormous for any one organization. We're proud that the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the Tennessee Department of Education, Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network, TSPN, and NAMI Tennessee, just to name a few, have already stepped forward to say they want to be part of hashtag Tennessee Won't Be Silent. And we're expecting many more in the coming days and weeks. I had this opportunity to also want to thank Marie. Marie, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your support of our mission and your friendship. But also I have the opportunity here to introduce someone that I've got to know as she came in and had the reins for the Department of Education. I want you to know that Commissioner Penny Swin, much like Marie Williams, has come in with a passion on mental health in our schools. And anything that we've gone to her and asked to help from the Tennessee Department of Education has been an immediate yes. And so we were so proud that she could be on the phone call today. So I'd like to introduce Commissioner Penny Swin to say a few words. Commissioner?
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be able to join just as one voice in support of the incredible work that's happening with the Jason Foundation. I had the great privilege of being able to sit in our first conversation, and I think what has struck me, certainly by the work that we've seen, is that there is a commitment to children. And at the end of the day, we want to ensure that every single Tennessean, but especially our young Tennesseans, have the support that they need to be successful. Certainly at the department right now, we are focusing on school reopening and know the challenges of having remote learning when we don't get our eyes and ears on our students every single day. We know how important that is. And I think it's been spoken about so beautifully before me, but I think one of the things that we continue to focus on is how to bring greater awareness to some of the challenges and struggles that our young folks are experiencing every day. And I think that this work will help to shine a very, very critical light on something that is of the utmost importance. Keeping our kids safe and healthy and happy is our number one priority. And I am just thrilled, honored, and delighted to be representing a very small part of this incredible effort. And we will continue to support, and I'm just very grateful for the work that you've done.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. And really, thank you for coming into you hit the ground running. We appreciate it. And the families and youth of Tennessee appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you for taking time today to be on this. Tennessee Won't Be Silent. It's doing a lot about the task force that we're doing also. So it's going to be a lot of things. It's going to take us all to make a difference.
Yes, it is.
When we put this together, I got to invite two special friends too that when we went to Tennessee Won't Be Silent, I went to some of those standby people who have always been there and was really proud that they both could be on the call today. And I would like to introduce them and I'll introduce them separately. First of all is Coach Phillip Fulmer. We're proud that he is here. It has been it's 22 years since he invited me to his office, and I sat down there, and we were there with a group of young people to invite him to be national spokesperson of the Jason Foundation, which was really funny at that time because nobody outside of Hendersonville, Tennessee knew about us. But Coach Fulmer didn't know that. So he agreed to be our national spokesperson. And he's too humble to say it, but almost every major thing that has happened to the Jason Foundation, we can draw back to Coach Fulmer, his influence, him opening a door and being there for us. He has been the one and only national spokesperson for the Jason Foundation, and I'm proud to introduce him to say a few words today. Coach Phillip Fulmer.
Thank you very much, Clark, and it's been my honor to be the Jason Foundation spokesperson. a huge thank you to the governor and his staff and our legislatures for their continued support, and particularly the new initiative of Tennessee Won't Be Silent. That's very much appreciated and very much needed. I've been involved, as Clark said, with the Jason Foundation for over 20 years, and as I said, also very honored to be a part of raising awareness out of a tragedy that Clark and Connie and their family had, the loss of Jason Flatt, and out of their passion to not have other parents and families or children go through what they went through, Clark and Connie went to work and established the Jason Foundation. The faces and numbers around youth suicide are staggering. You've heard many of them today. As a father of 4 and a grandfather of 8, and formerly a coach, and now as an administrator, I have always been concerned about our young people and their well-being. The pressures that they face from home issues, school, in my world, competing, injury, relationships, and many, many other factors that can play into depression and mental illness. We have to pay attention. You heard Clark say that 4 out of 5 who think about suicide give a clear warning sign of threats or anger or depression, diet, or lack of energy. Their dress, whatever, there's almost always a sign. And if you are a true friend, a classmate, a teacher, a counselor, parent, relative, or coach, it's important that you identify these and know what to do with them. We must know how to recognize these signs and where to go to get help. Also, if you've heard today, over 3,000 young people attempt suicide in the U.S. each year. And how can we not be involved, and how can we not say that this is an important thing? I am proud to be a part of, and I'm very appreciative of all the work that everyone has done. The volunteers, the staff have just been incredible. And I thank again, Governor Lee, for your support. And Clark, you and Connie, I thank you for your love and your passion that you've poured into children and families and communities across this country, and quite likely saved thousands of lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it, and thank you for taking time. As we discussed before we went on, know you're very, very busy, and I appreciate it, but you've always made time for us, so thank you, sir. My second person to introduce is a very dear person who's always been there. In fact, when we went to him about Project Tennessee Won't Be Silent, and also Project Tennessee 2, they were the ones that jumped on board first, and we appreciate their support. We would not be where we are today without them and without their passion and without this individual who has been there for us and who has become not only the friend of JFI, but I'm glad to call her a personal friend too. I'd like to introduce Ms. Debbie Osteen, the CEO of Acadia Healthcare and one of our national community affiliates, and one of the founding members of our Five Stone support. So Debbie, thank you for being on.
Thank you, Clark. It's a privilege to be here today, lending Acadia's voice to the Tennessee Won't Be Silent campaign. I want to thank Governor Lee and Commissioners Williams and Schwinn for their continued leadership on mental health and addiction issues. Their support and this campaign is going to shine an important light on what is a quiet killer. And I think promoting cooperation between public and private sectors for Tennessee residents is what we need to cope with this pandemic. And together, we will save lives. And we're one of the largest providers of mental health and substance use disorder treatment in the U.S., but we consider it a privilege when we became a national community affiliate for the Jason Foundation, and we did that in 2013. So over that time, both of our organizations have been committed to suicide prevention, education, and awareness programs. And what we're seeking to do, and we're doing it together, is providing communities with information, with tools and resources that help identify and also help our at-risk youth. We're doing this together, and it is going to save lives, and it's a privilege to do so. We're proud that we actually have 67 Jason Foundation affiliate offices. We're in 25 states together, as well as Puerto Rico. And I'll just say, and I think others have mentioned it, you know, the last few months have been unlike anything that we've ever experienced. And it's our belief, and I think it's a belief, obviously, of others, that the emotional repercussions of this pandemic on Tennesseans could have a long-lasting impact. So we need to advocate, and we need to advocate for those that will suffer in silence. And this campaign will be a beacon of hope for them. And I look forward to all of the difference that we will make for these individuals that will be seeking our help, and also for the education component that will be helping others identify those that need this kind of help. I want to recognize just the tremendous work and the commitment of Clark, who is a friend, and his team as well at JFI. You know, they've been tireless. Their efforts have been tireless as they have worked to develop and coordinate this statewide campaign. And it's really been exceptional. And I just want to say we're very pleased that the first portion of the campaign, and Clark mentioned it, will be a focus on first responders, those that are out there on the front lines, and it's a privilege to help them cope with the stress that they've endured this year, but also to help them identify those in need. So I look forward, and we look forward at Acadia to working together. And I think that we're going to make a difference, and we're going to save lives, and we're going to, I think, be very gratified with all of those that will be helped, and we're going to save those that might have sought another solution for their stress and all of the anxiety that's been here with this pandemic. We're going to offer another solution, and we're going to help to save them. So it's a privilege to be here. I thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you making time for this. Just like Coach Fulmer, your schedule is very, very full, and we appreciate it. You've always made time for us, so thank you. Thank you. I guess we're at the end. I would like to say there's our website of TennesseeWon'tBeSilent.com. We hope that you will visit it. We hope that you will become one of those voices in Tennessee that says we won't be silent, and together we will save lives. Debbie and Phillip and Marie and Penny and all of us, Governor, we've all had that same statement that by joining together is our real strength. It always has been in Tennessee. Joining together, that's why we call us a volunteer state. We always come to a challenge, and we have a challenge now. It's a challenge that if we can get ahead of it, we can save any more lives. So in ending, I'd like to ask Governor Lee, would you like to have any ending comments before we end this session? All right. Gillum, I saw he popped up. Gillum might have had to have him, because I know he has another one at after 11.
I apologize. He had to jump onto a stimulus financial accountability.
Boy, that's a long one right there. Okay.
That's right. That's right. So yes, sir, Clark, if you would like to conclude.
Yes, sir. I'll just say that I appreciate everybody who was either here as watching. I know we had the people from NAMI, Tennessee, from TSPN, the Tennessee Suicide Prevention. These are first two nonprofits we went out to talk to. They had representatives on the call. Coach Fulmer, we appreciate Debbie and Acadia and our other Stones that are there out there working with us that couldn't be with us today. We hope that it will be only successful if we join together. And I hope today marks that day where we're launching that no longer will Tennessee be silent. Tennessee won't be silent. and it's TennesseeWon'tBeSilent.com. Again, thank you. Be watching. We'll be having releases over it's a year-long program, so we're just getting started. And I appreciate you being on, appreciate you celebrating this launch. And please let the governor know we appreciate so much his attendance and helping and his pledge of support to our program. So thank you all for being on, and have a great day and be safe. Thank you.